Good afternoon, and welcome to the Retirement Committee. And we're going to get started, and we do that by prayer, and we're going to do that. Would Chairman Coleman, would you lead us in as we start? 17.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for all you do for us, and especially for this day and for the opportunity we have to serve and to serve the people of this great state. We ask you to be with us now as we deliberate. Give us the strength, the intelligence, the wisdom to do the right thing that will be best in thy sight for the people of this great state. These things we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay. We have two bills to take up, and what we're going to do is I'm going to use the right to waive our quorum. We're down by one, but I can do that, and just did it. So we're going to begin. First of all, we're going to begin with House Bill 377. Or do you need to go first? Okay. Maybe not. Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman. 238. Oh, he's going to be quick, I'll assure you.
But we made a couple of changes. This situation came up with our firefighters fund. They thought they had a vehicle that was going to take care of a situation they have. Basically, we've taken 238 that we discussed for an hour a few weeks ago. This is the one where I couldn't get a second on, Mr. Chairman, and we have changed that bill around, and we have now made this a firefighters pension fund bill. Basically, all we're asking for here is each firefighter, volunteer firefighter accepted for membership in this fund is going to pay a sum of $25 per month as their dues instead of $15. You've got a sheet on your desk, I believe, that was handed out. It says since last time they had an increase was in 1988, 25 years ago. Dues were $10 a month. The benefit was $500. That represented 2% of the monthly benefit. Dues were increased to $15 per month. I don't know exactly when that was, Jim. Was that an increase? Oh, that was in 1988 when it was increased. Okay, it was $10 a month. It was increased in 1988. Right now, their monthly benefit is $882 a month. Increasing this to $25 per month represents 2.8% of the monthly benefit. They need this to protect their ARC, the annual required contribution. It's not like a teacher's fund, the funds by the state, where we put in money when the ARC gets smaller. I met with several of the folks last week, and the gentleman told me, he said they don't mind chopping their own wood. They'll pay into the fund what it's going to take to keep the firefighters fund solvent. The trustees got a letter here from the trustees. I believe there's a whole group of people here to speak in favor for this bill today. There may be one or two that want to speak against it. I would ask that maybe they come up and speak, but the Pat Wilson, the president of the Metro Atlanta Fire Chiefs Association, their group voted unanimously to proceed. They got 60 members in attendance to support the dues increase, and that's what they'd like to see go forward. So that's the bill.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Wave. Okay. Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Maxwell, you mentioned that there's a resolution or action from the Board of Trustees of the fund in support.
Yes, ma'am. We have several of the trustees here today, and Jim Menard, the executive director, is here also.
But the board took an official action in support of this
I believe
increase.
They did.
Yes, ma'am. Three of my trustees will be three of the five are here today, but we have had a resolution that the board has supported last year and this year.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Additional question, Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Certainly.
There is no fiscal note with this bill. Is there a need for one?
I don't believe it would be. Oh, that's right. That should be in the folder.
That's why I'm inquiring. All I have is just a copy of a substitute with no. Okay, so it has been certified.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions by the committee? Do we have anyone here that would like to speak for? I'll take the fours first. for the bill?
I think there's a group of them, maybe one or two against, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do I have, just ask them those for us to stand and those against to stand? And no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to ask, is there anyone that would like to speak for the bill? If you'll just identify yourself and who you're with, and
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is John Canada, a resident of Gainesville, Hall County, Georgia. I'm also recently retired as a fire chief of the city of Gainesville, and I'm still active in the fire service and a member of the fund for 20 years. I'm in support of this increase. I think it is both accountable and responsible for us as members to see the need there for an increase. We have a board of trustees, of which is appointed by the governor of the state to take care of this fund. I think we need to be careful to listen to them and their recommendation, along with the actuaries that review this fund. So with that, I speak in favor of this and ask you for a due pass.
all right. Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak for the bill? Well, this okay. This is like an invitation at church, you know. You just sing one more chorus of "Just As I Am," and somebody will show up. I don't know if we want to hear it.
I'm Eddie Buckholtz. I'm fire chief for the city of Forest Park, Georgia, and I'm also on the board of the Metro Atlanta Fire Chiefs Association. And I presented the letter today that came from the Metro Atlanta Fire Chiefs Association on behalf of Pat Wilson, our president. And again, we had approximately 60 members in attendance last Wednesday from the metro area. Have spoken to several fire chiefs throughout the state that are also in favor of the dues increase, and of course this is mainly because of sustainability of the fund. As you know, a lot of people my age, the baby boomer generation, so to speak, are nearing retirement, and we have a board of trustees and executive director that I think has done an outstanding job of keeping up with our fund, and I think we need to acknowledge the work that they do and take their advice, and if they need a dues increase, then we're willing to stand up and support them. So we're for the dues increase.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anyone that would wish to speak against the bill? All right. Would you come and just identify yourself and who you represent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jackie Gibbs. I'm fire chief in the city of Marietta. I'd like to ask the committee to think a little deeper about this bill and to drill into the numbers before you pass this on. The reason for my position today is you have to think about what is the purpose of dues into a pension fund. Members pay dues to operate the administrative function of the fund in the firefighters fund. The increase that's been proposed is a $120 a year increase on you firefighters, volunteer and career, throughout the state. The dues revenue that is currently coming into the fund is more than double what is required to operate the fund. Currently it costs, according to the annual report, $1.3 million to operate the fund. The fund is bringing in $2.6 million to operate itself. The tax increase, which is the fund is operated and funded off of a 1% tax increase or tax on your insurance premium. If you look back in the annual report to 2009, that tax revenue has been in a steep increase, flowing from $24.5 million a year to $27 million a year during 2012. And this is even during the recession, as the recession has recovered. And if you think about your house insurance and your premium, I don't know of anybody in the room that would say their house insurance is going down. It's not going down, it's going up. So there's no reason to expect that this fund is going to take a hit because insurance is going to continue to rise. If you look in the annual report from the Firefighters Pension Fund, the market portfolio is enjoying huge profits, rising from 571 million to, in the last 7 months, I'm told, over $615 million. That's a $46 million increase. And so this fund is going up, and it's going up really fast. So in the last 7 months, it's just gone through the roof. Now, why would they ask for this? Board of Trustees are challenged. They're taught by the lawyers. You have a fiduciary responsibility. They take that very seriously, and I respect that. I respect the fact that they're trying to look after the fund, because that is important to every firefighter in the state. But this is one of the issues where we can afford to wait. There is no reason to expect. In fact, the executive director at one of the last meetings I attended publicly stated, the fund is fine. We're just asking for the dues increase because sometime we may need it, and we haven't had one in a long time. Well, I understand that, and I do respect it, but this is an opportunity to do something for folks who may not be able to come up here and who may be hurting. There are people who don't have a job. There are volunteers who are trying to work part-time, and they don't come up here to ask you to hold off. $120 a year may not sound like a lot, but it can be a lot to somebody who is struggling. Firefighters today currently across the state in everything are just like every other citizen. Their taxes are going up. Their insurance premiums are going up. Their health care costs are going up. Their cost of living is going up. Everything around them is going up, while many of them have experienced a cut in pay because of furlough days they've been required by the municipal and county governments because of the tight budgets. In a lot of cases, the firefighters we're talking about are volunteers, so they don't get a pay cut because they don't get paid in the first place. The purpose of this fund was designed to help out firefighters. It originated to help volunteer fire departments get volunteers to give them a benefit. We can afford to wait a little bit of time. 3 years is not going to matter. When you're seeing tax increases and the insurance premium is going up at this rate and the market portfolio is literally going through the roof, we can afford to wait on a $120 a year increase. I know it's a small amount of money, but again, if you look back, they're bringing in over twice what it costs to administer the fund. They haven't said one word about cost control. Members of the committee, I thank you.
If you'll just wait just for a moment, is
Yes,
there
sir.
anyone have any questions for the presenter? And we do.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you to all the firefighters that are here. I really appreciate the work that you do as a Red Cross volunteer for 15 years. I know exactly what you're having to do. But I'm just a little curious of why is this, I know I was a little late coming in, but why is this proposal even being submitted? You know, why this organization even wanting to increase the dues?
Well, the Board of Trustees is challenged with keeping the fund, in their mind, healthy. This pension fund, according to the last time I talked to Mr. Menard, is 76% funded. Most local and local governments would do anything to have their pension funds at that level. Their pension funds are operating and down around 50% funded. So, you know, if you're responsible for something, you want it to see it be 100%. And it's not. They're about 76% as I understand it right now. So from their standpoint, they're just trying to move forward and do the job that they're, you know, charged with doing. And my only point is there's an opportunity here to do something for somebody that may not be able to help themselves.
All right, you're absolutely right, because I have a lot of volunteers in my district that live so far away from here they're not able to come up and voice their concerns about this. So I do again appreciate your comments today.
Yes,
All right, Chairman Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your presentation, but I do have a question about, you said it's 76% funded.
Yes, sir.
That means that more is going out than what's coming in, correct?
Yes, sir. Currently, according to the numbers that I have from the Board of Trustees, there is about a $5 million gap today between what is coming in, and mainly I think most of that has to do with the recession, and we're still coming out of that. But when your portfolio is going up $21 million in a month, you can pay out $5 million for quite a few months if you're doing that.
But wouldn't you agree that most of that portfolio is based on what the stock market has done in the last couple of months? So it could just as easily drop, correct?
It can just as easily drop, but you got to remember this fund is based on insurance premium taxes. No, the insurance premiums are not going to drop all of a sudden. And when you're, I mean, the current value of the fund is, if I understand it correctly, is $615 million, and you're paying out $30 million a year total benefits and bringing in $27 million in taxes. I think you can stand the pressure a little while.
Let me ask you this: if someone offered an amendment to, instead of a $10 increase, to make it a $5 increase, would that be better?
Yes, sir. Anything's going to be better. Again, from my standpoint, and just forgive me, this is my way of thinking. It's pretty obvious the dues is nothing more than to pay the administration of the fund. The fund's health and wellness is not based on a dues when you're only paying $15 a month. And it's not going to be based on the health and wellness of that fund if you're charging $100 a month. It's based on that insurance premium tax that comes into the state. That's what it is. I mean, that's just the simple truth. In my viewpoint, the purpose of the member dues is nothing more than to administer that fund.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. You have anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
if you want to be.
Members of the committee. Thank you.
All right. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond. And then I'm going to allow Chairman Maxwell to close. Yes, sir.
And I respect the gentleman coming up, but there's a sheet that was handed out to you folks a while ago that talks about the benefits that are getting back. Right now, with today's benefits and a person paying in $15 per month, they're going to get all their dues back in 5.5 months, a little over 5 months. So everything they paid into the fund comes back at $882. That's their benefit a month now. With the $25 per month increase, they're going to get it back in 8.5 months. So they're still going to get their benefits, everything they paid into the fund over the period of time they're expected to work. But Jim can address the other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and with all due respect to Chief Gibbs, and he's not a pension fund manager, he's a fire chief. We're paying out right now $34 million a year, and as of this year coming up, we're going to be paying out $36 million a year. We're taking in $27 million a year in taxes, and we're not meeting our annual required contribution for the pension fund. Which is on a cash flow basis, we're falling behind, and over the next 20 years, we're going to fall even further behind. So the whole idea in raising the contribution of the member is to try and catch up to the annual required contribution. We're not going to be able to raise taxes. We're not going to lay this back on the taxpayer of the state. The idea is to try and get the member to contribute a little bit more to the pension fund. The fund is, we call it healthy because it's at a 76% funding ratio. So when we talk about the fund being healthy, we say it's healthy because we really don't want to alarm people to say that the fund is falling behind or we're endangering benefits, things like that. But it's not 100% funded. It's in reasonably good shape. But it's not meeting its annual required contribution. The funding ratio is deteriorating. Last year when we started this effort, we did a 10-year actuarial study, which shows that without a dues increase, the funding ratio deteriorates from 76% to 71.5%, giving all things being equal and current growth rates staying current. As we project and look at over the last 22 years, the 22-year growth rate for our insurance premium tax is 5.93%. For the last 3 years, though, the insurance premium tax growth rate is 0.75%, meaning our insurance premium taxes have gone flat because the economy has gone flat. And as we look out forward for the economy, it's really not going to look like it's going to accelerate a whole lot over the next few years. So where do we get an improvement in our revenue? Our benefit payments have continued to stay at a 6% level, as our retirees have continued to stay at a 6% level. So the outflows look like they are going to continue to grow, while the revenues are going to stay flat. So if we're going to improve our revenues, we're going to have to look somewhere other than taxes and the taxpayer to improve revenues and to kind of increase that. The portfolio is performing well, but if we're going to say we're going to depend only on the stock market for increases to increase the fund, that's saying that we're going to look at it on the come. The markets are up and down. We don't really want to depend wholly on the stock market or the capital markets to keep this thing whole. You really need to look at some hard revenues to say you're going to get something to hold it to keep this portfolio, to keep this fund together for the real long haul. So it's not just today, it's not just cash flows today, it's for the long haul. It's, as we showed with that little sheet, to kind of keep member participation, member contributions in some kind of relative relationship to the benefits that they're receiving for the long term, such as they always have been, and sort of keep that growth in perspective. So that's the idea. When we first started going into the hole back in 2008, our first consideration was taxes. But as we looked at that with Commissioner Oxendine and then again with Hudgens, that was really not an option because the state already taxes its insurance companies enough. So then, but at that point, with the economy being as low as it was, we thought it was not the time to be hitting the participants with additional funds. But as the economy is picking up, now's the right time to do it, to go after it. We do 5 now, we'll be doing 5 in another year or two. But changing all payroll systems and all the other systems associated with dues collection gets expensive. So it's better to do it one time and get it over with. $10 isn't that great an amount. A lot of departments pay for their members anyway. So $10 appeared to be the appropriate amount.
All right.
Any questions?
Any questions? We do have a question. Okay,
Yes,
Chairman
Representative
Benton.
In order to bring the fund up to anywhere close to what you're paying out, what would you need to charge?
You'd really need to charge about $40 per member. So, and we're not looking for that.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is because is the firefighter fund, is it intended to be a supplemental pension?
Yes, sir, it is. And let me make another point. The idea that that dues pays only for administrative purposes really went out the window back in 1988. In 1988, when dues were only $10 a month, and dues were increased to $15, at that point the $10 was enough for administration. But dues went up anyway, and that made it really a contributory fund. So at this point, we call it dues, but it really should be called participant contribution to the fund.
We've got some time constraint here.
Okay, I'm finished.
And thank you. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No,
Chairman Maxwell?
The majority of these gentlemen here today are in support of this fund. I think
Okay.
all the firefighters, if y'all would, the firefighters are here. If y'all just raise your hand or stand up, they're in support of this. I had a good group of
Okay.
them come in, trustees, other folks. Everybody I've talked to, like I said, they're with to cut their own wood. And it's the mind of the committee.
All right, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. I appreciate your
I'd
support.
entertain a motion. We have a motion. Do pass. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor? I'm sorry. You have a question? Okay.
Did I understand that we have firefighters that are here in favor of this?
Yes. Stand up once again.
Okay, now, firefighters that are not in favor? Oh, okay.
Lone Ranger. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of to pass this bill, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Have one. All right. And the motion does carry. All right. And now we have Representative Mabra. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Is this your first bill? Or is this your first bill to, it is your first bill to retirement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is.
James said he had about 40 questions he has for you.
I could be here all day.
I know.
It's your time, too.
Somebody else will be moving in on us here in a few minutes. All right, present your bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you so much. My name is Ronnie Mabra. I'm here with a great bill to protect pension funds, House Bill 377. An issue that came up, it deals with garnishment of pension funds. And what this bill does, it says, hey, you can't garnish pension funds. Those are protected. I believe and feel that if a person works 20, 30 years and qualifies for their pension funds, that's their retirement income, and they're counting on that. So that check should go directly to them before it's garnished. Now, you can always garnish someone's bank account, file liens, take their boats, cars, things of that nature. But the pension fund, I want that protected. And what we did here in this bill is took out ERISA. And basically, ERISA is the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. It's a federal law. And in ERISA, all pension funds are not protected. There's an anti-alienation rule in there that says pension funds have to be paid directly to the beneficiary, the person who qualifies for that. So you get that protection if you fall up under ERISA. And as I stated, a lot of plans might not fall under ERISA, and in courts, because we reference the federal ERISA language in the statute, our statute, the judges, they look to the federal law. They look to ERISA and they say, hey, I'm looking at ERISA, and it is very complicated. And they say, hey, this plan doesn't get the protection from the anti-alienation provision. And because ERISA is a federal law and there is preemption, judges are not looking at the state law. And so our goal here is to say, hey, that's fine. We're just going to take out the federal statute, have the ERISA language put in there, the pension plans, so they're fully protected, and saying, hey, you cannot garnish pension plans except for child support and alimony. We do want to protect women and children, and I feel strongly about that. And just to give you a prime example, there's a lot of constituents in my district, and probably in yours as well, that if they worked at a job, say, 15 years, and they have early packages in which they need to lay off some people, and they said, hey, we're going to give you your pension. We're going to credit you years in service so you can qualify for your pension. The courts have also read that as a contested pension claim and says that doesn't qualify for protection under ERISA, and therefore those pension funds can be garnished. And so all we're doing here in this bill is adding extra protection to pension benefits, and it's really a garnishment bill to sort of narrow down what things can be garnished, and pension funds should not be able to be garnished.
All right. Thank you. Anyone on the committee have a question? All right. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mabra, for bringing this bill. I think it's a great bill. I support it. I have one question, and this is something actually you and I talked about before. And looking down on line 51 through 54, subsection C down there, we had some discussion about this particular exemption and whether or not it would be appropriate to include an exemption that also outlined not just alimony and child support, but also a division of marital property in a divorce. Is there any particular reason that you wouldn't want to include that, or would you be open to that amendment?
Absolutely. There is a reason why. One, this bill is to protect pension benefits and not to put an undue burden upon pension plans. By adding additional criteria in which they must protect and be on the lookout for, that's going to cost retirees money. It's going to be a burden on the pension plan and their administrator. And so we're trying to help and not cause any problems. Furthermore, through alimony and child support, those things are covered. In your example, if it's separate maintenance, that's pretty much the same thing as alimony. If you go back and you research the case law, separate maintenance was given in cases where there really were stringent divorce laws, and it was hard to get a divorce. And so you would have separate maintenance that the judge would sign off on. But in cases where you can get a divorce and the laws are, there for you to get a divorce, you can get alimony, and you have a divorce attorney, you all come to agreement, so alimony would take care of the separate maintenance in a sense.
Right, and I understand that point, and of course that's alimony and separate maintenance kind of fall on the same issue. My concern is that because we're creating this new exemption, that the courts may read this to, because we're not specifically making a provision for division of marital property through a divorce, that the court may read this and say, well, I don't have authority under this law, or I'm prevented under this law from dividing a retirement plan, which is a marital asset, between two parties to a divorce action. And perhaps, I'm not sure if counsel has any thought on that.
I do, sir. Before this did not apply to our own systems like employees' retirement system and teachers' retirement system. They have their own exemptions. By changing the language, we brought those systems under the purview of this statute. And if we put that language in, that would put an additional burden that they don't have now. There's two problems. One, it would cost them a lot of money. And number two, if this overrode the retirement statute, it would make it a retirement bill, and this bill has not been drafted as a retirement bill with the proper procedures.
I guess then, just to make sure I'm clear, under the way the law exists now, if I represent parties in a divorce action, we can agree, and the judge can order that the corpus of the retirement account, or the retirement, if it is a defined account, can be transferred from one party to the other, or divided in half, or divided into some other percentage.
Not the corpus. They talk about the payments.
Well, and I'm talking about. Well, I guess will this bill change that portion of the law that allows the judge or the court to divide that retirement account as a marital asset between the parties?
Not for alimony or child support, but you throw it in a qualified domestic.
Quadro.
Yeah, well, that would be an addition, something that the ERS payouts are not now subject to. The employees' retirement system folks are here and know a whole lot more about that than
Okay.
I am. Frankly, they're probably more articulate than I am. They could delve into that.
If we're not affecting the current ability of a court to do that by this bill, I'm not interested in getting into that and creating something new, but I want to make sure we're not cutting something off that does exist now.
It does not exist now. If you put those domestic orders in, that would add a burden to the ERS.
Okay.
They don't have it.
All right. I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was told to me the same thing. We're not adding anything, to it.
All right. Coach Williams.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Mabry, I think this is a fine piece of legislation, and I appreciate you bringing it to us. Looking from line item 26 to 57, could you approximately tell me how many T's are in this bill on page 2? I'm just playing with you.
I'm pretty quick. I did a little equation. At Georgia Tech, we got a T in our title, too, as well. Look, the T. Thank you, Coach. I'll count that up, and I'll get back with you, though.
Thank you.
I'm still counting. All right. Any other questions? Do we have anyone that wanted to speak to it? If not, okay, I'll entertain a motion. We have a move and a second. All in favor of the of House Bill substitute LC 21-2166S, which is House Bill 377. All in favor of that say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, like sign, and there is none. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, very good. And we've got some gun folks outside. We better get out of here.